Hey, my name is Zachary Caton, and I'm a social work major in my final semester senior year. Now, for my artifact paper, I chose to do the video because I feel like it's a lot easier to describe things through words rather than try to configure them through sentences and try to make a genuine sounding paper while trying to meet the criteria for the minimum pages. And I feel like it would have sounded a little dragged out and sloppy and all over the place, so I tried to configure some sort of template to work off of based off of the requirements for this assignment. So I'm going to kind of, like we desire, scroll through the semester in my head to say what I've learned, how I feel, and how it's challenged or reshaped any sort of beliefs I already had. Now, as a social work major, we're kind of conditioned to be open-minded and look from that outsider point of view, as in we know nothing about it, we want to learn about it, and we need your help to teach us. Now, that being said, on top of having that kind of open-minded, genuine background that you approach any situation with, I wasn't raised in a religious household. I think I went to church one time when I was like 5 years old. My brother was 3 and he was acting up, so we left. And that was the only time I've been in a church outside of 2 weddings that were both Catholic weddings with partial masses. So my religious background is very skimp, and at the same time as that may be hindering me to kind of make a better understanding of other people, especially the majority of the American race following Christianity as the major recognized religion, it kind of helped me understand that everyone's different and everyone has their own rights. And as a social work major, I kind of like to emphasize that, find your strengths and find what makes you different as a positive thing, because like I said, we always want to learn on a single individual basis. Now, when I'm thinking about it, when you look at other people's worldviews, a lot of our major religions are based off of the same book. You got Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, the Abrahamic religions. And from those interpretations of this text, you've found 3 different religions that have come from a singular idea of charity and bringing community together and doing right unto others. But one of the things I've always held on to that I always thought was kind of silly was you don't need to be the Christian way, or you don't need to be a positive person following Judaism. You can just treat everyone with respect on the individual level, regardless of what your religious background is. Don't look at them from your point of view. Look at them from an open-minded point of view. That way you can better understand it and critically think and have tolerance for other people's beliefs, even though they're different from your own. Because what we got to realize is, I wasn't raised around religion, but many people are. In a sense, is religion really a choice? Your parents start making you go to church when you're 4 years old, you get raised that way, and you kind of just figure out your own style of how you want to follow it. Everyone can interpret religions different ways, follow different parts of them, but the main idea comes back to the fact that you treat others the way you want to be treated. Charity, community, it's the same ideals that you see across every religion, just in different languages or written in different types of stories. Now, I was also curious that we spent so much time on Christianity. You know, we spent equal time on Christianity as we did with Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, and I feel like that might have been not what I wanted to do, because I feel like the majority of the class had a Christian background as we went around the class and we asked everybody what kind of beliefs they follow. So I was in an overwhelmingly Christian population in that classroom, and some of the comments I heard kind of emphasize the fact that people are from different backgrounds and raised different ways, and their beliefs are set from the way they were raised. Person and environment. One of the major things about social work is that you're kind of born into these situations. You don't have a choice. And you're raised by your parents. You can't pick your parents. You can't pick your family. And that's kind of the culture of it. That's what culture comes down to. You have your own beliefs. You have children. You also teach them your own beliefs, and you can kind of see this with a lot of things, even negative aspects like racism. No one's born racist, but they're raised around it, and then eventually that's how they genuinely feel. And we like to criticize and hate those people, and we see it as obvious ignorance, but at the same time, that's what they were taught. That's what they learned how to do. People that are Christian that believe homosexuality is a sin, you know, that might be written down in some way or another, but at the same time, if we're supposed to treat everyone equal as a community and have that kind of charitable sense, how can we look down on anybody for the way they believe and feel naturally? Isn't that kind of the whole idea of tolerance? Now, some of the things that challenged me were the religions that kind of had some intolerance towards women and why they had to fight so hard to gain equal recognition when it seems like in the religious text from the traditional written stuff that women were equal to men, but then you have people just like with the Bible that are interpreted a different way, or it translates onto paper in some sort of formation that seems to have an entirely different meaning. Now, with my pursuit of life and happiness and learning about all these worldviews, I kind of realized that everyone has the same goal. And we've already talked about the charity and community part, but everyone just wants to live a happy and fulfilled life. Now, whether that's through finding a religion or Buddhism seeking nirvana, or, praying 5 times a day in Islam to sort of reach and have that connection to your sacred. Now, I never knew that connection. I never had that connection. In fact, when my friends when I was younger would tell me that they couldn't hang out because they had religion, my response would be like, oh, that sucks. Not a single part of me in high school and middle school ever considered that people actually want to do that. In my point of view, I was ignorant and saw it more as an obligation rather than a desired thing to do to bring yourself closer to your religion and the people you surround yourself with the same beliefs. Now, religion impacts cultures hard, and you can even see that in America when you have those strong Christian societies. They all come to church together. They all kind of have that sense of community where each person helps each other. It's favor for favor, but there's no obligation where you think you have to help people. And when you finally feel like you're obligated to help others, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of that charitable thing. Now, it impacts the culture because as more and more people follow the same belief as the majority rules. Now, you can see that in America, how Christianity kind of took the reins, and now we live under God in our own Pledge of Allegiance. It says it on the dollar bill. There's plenty of things. There's Bibles in motels and hotels. You don't see a Quran sitting in a hotel when you go and spend the night. You just got the Bible. Now, throughout history, you can see how religion has done a lot of damage to women, each other, and there's been a lot of struggle with the game of playing who's right. Now, you can still see conflicts around the world like that. And recently, Afghanistan, Iraq, Israel, there has been so many conflicts of what they believe and what's right. And you have ISIS with this old-fashioned traditional style of living that they're trying to enforce in the Middle East. And people have too many different beliefs, so people are dying and people are being attacked and ridiculed for not believing in the majority thing, even though they were raised a different way. They were raised into their own religion. They were raised into their own belief system that their parents and their friends and family and all that stuff believed. Yet now they're wrong. Now you're going to tell them that they're wrong and this is the true way to live. And even in America, Christianity has the same thing. There's a lot of ignorance when viewing other religions when you come from a strong, sturdy religious background. Now, when it comes to my own views, I see that as a very negative thing. I feel like everyone should take an approach of that outsider view and want to learn about people rather than just look at them funny and thinking like, what's this guy believe in? You know what I mean? Like thinking that it's funny that they could think any other way than the way that's set in your head. And you got to realize that there's 2 options to religion. Either everybody's right or possibly everybody's wrong. But the issue is religion brings communities together, but the issue is the religious aspect and those mindsets and views hinder that further charitable aspect from reaching out to other people with cultures with different belief systems. Now, this course did teach me a lot about other religions, things I never even knew about. I loved learning about Buddhism. I thought that's a very peaceful and imaginative and very motivational religion that sounds like it could be very therapeutic for someone going through a rough time, whether what their background was. Now, one thing I wondered was, like I said, why we covered Christianity so in depth But we never talked about paganism. We mentioned it a few times about the Romans, but I feel like as one of the oldest living religions, especially amongst the Native Americans, I think people would be much more interested to learn about paganism rather than spend all this time on Christianity when we're surrounded by it every day. I want to learn about world religions, things that other people believe in that I didn't know about. So the only thing that I want to know is maybe a little more about paganism, as it is one of those major footholds when it comes to the establishment of religion. This class was very eye-opening, and obviously I have to take it for a general education requirement, and I had a lot of preconceived notions of what I was going to walk into, and I am very surprised about the things that I learned, about the things that I kind of gained through doing these papers. And I just find that it's kind of just difficult to understand why people can't accept each other. And as wrong as this sounds, and it's kind of like an end note, I honestly believe that this world could function just fine without religion. And that if people just held on to those values that are common across all religions, and in fact just common courtesy and knowledge of treating others with respect, religion is an outlet to figure out a spiritual sense of what happens now, where we came from, what happened after, just efforts to answer these questions that even science is having trouble establishing. It allows us to feel more comfortable that there was a beginning that we know about, and there is a peaceful end that we can reach. But the obligations that religions have set, where have they come from? Who established the fact that you have to pray 5 times a day in Islam in order to satisfy that fulfillment to submitting yourself to God? Muslim. And I just never understood why you had to live within constraints in order to live a happy afterlife. I never understood, nor accept, nor stand for it. I believe you should live life the way you want to live it, with your own belief system, as long as you treat others with respect. This is my video. These are my opinions. I loved this semester. I never thought I'd have so much fun learning about other religions and cultures. And it really is going to help me when in the social work field dealing with people from different backgrounds and cultures, especially those that we've learned about. My last note, like I said, to anyone taking this class in the future, just keep an open mind and come into the class willing to learn. And not just sit there with your own beliefs and scoffing and thinking that everything else is a joke, because in a sense, they were raised differently from you, and they could be looking at you the same exact way. Again, I'm Zach, I'm a social work major, really enjoyed this class, and I wish I could experience more of this in this kind of sense, but like I said, I'm graduating, so this is a very good end note to learn a lot of new things about a lot of different cultures. Thanks.